have the love for the child, right? But do you have the love for the life of it, though? You know, it's like, because when parenthood is thrust upon you, of course, at first it's like, word, I'm having a baby, I'm gonna love this baby, I'm gonna give it all I got. But then when it comes, like Mike Tyson always said, you always have a plan, and until you get punched in the mouth. So when life happens, boom, you love the baby, but do you love the life that comes with the baby?
My God, that's the question.
That's the big question. And it's like, I don't think there's an answer to it, because it's like, were you prepared? Like, is it a financial thing? Is it stability? Is it emotional, spiritual stability? Like, what is it that makes it be like, okay, I can be 100% balanced in this assignment of being a parent? And I think with our ancestors, all that they went through is just like you said, a generation for generation of things. So I believe what my grandmother, how she raised me is how she was raised. And also she had 8 brothers. So, and only 3 sisters. So she had to be tough, because you got all these brothers, and these were big guys. I met some of my great uncles, and these are huge men, like 6'5",
Right.
6'6", big country brothers from Virginia that worked in the fields and stuff like that. So, and I can imagine the way they were being spoken to. It's because my grandmother didn't curse. She didn't curse. Her vocabulary was so vast that she can say things to you, and it's gonna cut, man, without even cursing. Because she's a Christian woman, so she didn't believe in cursing. She might have said the D word here and there, but no. So I the way I was spoken to, I find myself speaking to my children that way sometimes, and
Wow.
I don't like
Absolutely.
it. I don't really curse at them, but hearing sometimes they do things that are just crazy, and it's like, you know what? But
Sometimes
I
it might as well be a cuss word though, because like you said, your grandmother, she could cut the words, cut even the
yeah,
word says that. My God, that tongue is, you
it's
can't tame the
it,
tongue.
you can't tame it. And
Lethal.
she's a person. It don't matter. We could be in church, we can be in the store, we could be in a restaurant. She do something she don't like. Do something she don't like.
Wow.
Disobey a command. Because she wasn't physical.
Mm.
My mom was, you know, she used to get me and my brother used to get it. She was different, but she wasn't physical with us. Maybe here and there, I might have got in the car. I might have got the old boy, watch your mouth when you talk back to me. So it's
Yeah,
just
look, I think we got into it. It comes to this. How do you navigate the complex emotion of I love my mother, aunt, or grandmother because she provides for me, but I
mhm.
hate the way she makes me feel. I think that's what we're
Great.
talking about now, because we know we know what she has done. We know what she's currently doing. But then
Hmm.
when those words come and it's
Hmm.
not quite right, the fear, the
Absolutely.
intimidation, the
Hmm.
belittling, just the lack of self-worth that you feel when those words are being spoken at you or being
Absolutely.
suggested.
Hmm.
Sometimes it don't even have to be, it could be a look.
Hmm.
Or even, you know the power of not even saying anything, but your energy is so off. The
You
energy
could
is so
just you,
explosive that you know that, hey, get out the way.
you can feel it, like, oh, today's not going to be a good one, and I think a lot of our ancestors were oblivious, because I think as our culture, we dealt with family separation all the time, right? So I think in my case, my grandmother used to be like, oh, why are y'all so mad? Why don't y'all smile a lot? Like, why aren't you like a certain way about life? I because I think she was conditioned that being separated from your parents is something that just happens all the time in our culture. So I don't think she understood sometimes, like, yo, this hurts having to be here with you. Like,
Wow.
I want to be with my mom. I want to be with my dad. I don't want to be here. And so when you make us feel a certain kind of way because you just want us to be tough, it hurts, because it's like, yo, parents have to put themselves in the children's shoes. We are human beings too. We feel everything. So it's like, in my case, even though it was the best thing for me to be with my great grandma, because my mom had gotten to a point where it was like there was no way a child could be there. DCF had came in and removed us, and done some things. But it's like, for the first maybe 2, 3, 4 years of living with my great grandma was miserable. I would have rather been with my mom going through that chaos, but at least I'm with my mom, because my mother, again, hyper affectionate.
Mm.
She couldn't provide much. I always ate, always had clothes, but she couldn't, but hyper affectionate. So I come from a place that, yeah, there's drug use in the home, alcoholism, there's violence, everything going on at home. But I'm feeling loved. To go to a
Wow.
place where it's the polar opposite, where everything is being provided. I don't need anything. There's the love. There's the love.
My God.
I
Listen,
I know I talk a lot too, so you can
because
shut me up when you want, because I
no, I want I told you this was the reason for inviting you on, because we need to hear our men talk about things like this. So when you say that you would have rather been with your mother, even though there was so much chaos and everything that was going on around you and with you in the home, you felt love. So one of the books is the Five Love Languages that I read maybe a couple 2 years,
great book.
and it helped me understand how I receive love, because I talk about my mother all the time, like I did even in the book. I talked about I really didn't feel love, and part of that was because I understand now that my love language is quality time and time spent doing stuff together, having quality conversation. But for those things to happen, you have to be engaged, you have to be available, have other things going on, or that type of child who needs quality time, then essentially you're not going to feel the love. And so that's why I was explaining to my mom, it's like, because my mom, affirmation of words, oh, that's her thing. She always told us she loved us. We're doing good, but that's not the way that I feel love. So it's like
Absolutely.
we can't give people the love that we think they should have, or the love that we want to give them. We have to be in relationship to know, hey, what do they really need? And I think that's the disconnect that definitely comes between mothers and the children, is that especially if you're in this go 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 life, whatever life that is for the mother, with your mother it was addiction, so her mind was there.
Absolutely.
My mom, it was work. She was always working and trying to provide for the family and doing the best that she can on that tip. Wherever your mother's mind is, if it's not with necessarily, hey, let me get to know my children. Like, who are my children? And if you have multiple children, I mean, 8 children, 11 children, they all might need different things. Most likely, they all need different things. And how stressful is that
Absolutely.
to one woman to have to go to
Exactly.
work, and then you have to try to cultivate 11 relationships, 8 relationships, even. Listen, I got 2 relationships I got to cultivate, and sometimes I'm sweating. So
Absolutely.
to be able to give them
Absolutely.
individually, this is part of that assignment. You
Absolutely.
put it so eloquently.
Like, the black woman's plight is like none other, because you just explained it perfectly. Y'all have to navigate and cultivate so much in a home, and it's all through relational intelligence, like knowing each party that's in the home. So if you're disengaged, you don't know. So when I moved in with my great grandmother, my brother had already been living there since a kid on up, you know.
Mm,
So she was already raising one of my mother's children, and have to take on another. you know. So because I think when I came, it was like, okay, I got to take care of this baby, but God, I really don't want to. Like, because
Right.
my
Me.
brother was different. Like, he had behavioral problems, mental health issues, so he was different. But he was a very special child. And like, the point I was going to make was like, my mom doesn't really know us to the point where I asked my brother can sing like an angel, like. And I asked my mother one day years ago as an adult. I said, "When did you realize that Dewan could sing?" And she said, "Honestly, I wasn't the one who realized it. It was Nanny. Nanny
Wow.
knew because he used to sing, just sing. She just walk around and just sing. So she put him in the choir at church." Like, so Nanny got to know us through observation, which she did for me. I used to like, as a kid, I used to like to take stuff apart. I used to like to take TVs and stuff apart and look on the inside. I was intrigued to know, like, how is this transmitting? So what she did was she put me in a junior engineers program. She just paid attention. She she knew I had a vocabulary, so she put me in like a little small oratorical society in the church where I would have to present and speak and talk. So she was good at just observing. Like, she didn't spend time really talking to us because she was like, go outside and play. But I guess when we thought she wasn't watching,
She
she
was
was
watching.
watching. Like, oh, okay, little boy, you like to tear up my stuff. So after I yell at you for tearing up my stuff, I'm gonna
You're
do
not tearing
something
up
on the
my.
flip side. So I'm gonna put you.
But,
So I think as mothers, y'all have a great exactly.
hey, you better
But
not.
black women,
You better
but
not.
black women, I revere you guys so much because it's like y'all, especially today, y'all create us for one. Y'all carry us, birth us, create us for one. Then you cultivate us, and like, I'm a man not because of a man. Think about that. Like, my father will tell you, well, my son, oh, that's Nanny. That's not, that ain't me. Yes, he gave me some jewels throughout the years and stuff like that, but my mom taught me how to fight and defend myself. You know, so this is what you got,
Yeah.
and that's why I just love black women, and I think that's probably why I'm blessed with so many daughters. God was like, "Well, since you like women so much and you revere them so much, here, boom, raise
There
them."
you go. There you go. There you
But
go.
yeah, y'all plight is like none other, because I had a conversation with somebody. So we remember back in the slavery days when they would come in and the husband might get removed for the home. So
Yes.
it was choices. There was choices that a man had to make in those days, where it's like, I gotta listen to the master, or I'm gonna die. I want to be around my family. So you might get raped, you might get whipped. But how does the woman view her husband after he doesn't defend himself to the slave master? It tanks the relationship, right? But on the flip side, if he defends and dies, how does she feel about him then? So women are put in such a quagmire that is damned if you do, damned if you don't, in a sense, where it's like we were doomed from the start, and it's all on the shoulders of black women. When you look at it like that, it started back then, that hatred. So when you have an ancestor who might have stood up and got killed by the slave master, now who's the protection for the family? Now the woman is left in there subconsciously. Now that gets passed down, passed down, passed down. It's been since we got here.
It's
That
the malice. The malice gets
absolutely,
passed down. So
absolutely.
malice is
Yep.
the desire to inflict injury, harm, or suffering to another, either because of a hostile impulse or out
Hmm.
of deep seated
Deep-seated
meanness.
meanness.
So hostile impulse is what I think about when you talk about those issues that have transferred generationally. It's like, man, like even if you have a husband, or the father wants to be here, but he
Mm-hmm.
can't be. It's literally life or death. And then now we look today how those things get passed on generationally. It's
Mm-hmm.
so for the reasons that we spoke about, and that's just generational. We
Absolutely.
didn't add on our own life experiences on top of that. So you put all of that
Absolutely.
together and you have a complete mess. It's a
Absolutely.
complete mess. And then one of the glorified things for a woman is to have a man. Is to have a
Mm-hmm.
man. You have a
Mm-hmm.
husband, you have your children. Your
Mm-hmm.
husband does good, he does right, he does all these things, he takes care of you, takes care of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But many of us, because we have never been fathered, or even we had a father in the home, but our father is dealing with his own issues and he's never had to really be a husband. He's never had to
Absolutely.
be a father. So he hasn't had that model to know what it looks like to. So maybe he wants to, because I talked about the emotion I had as a mother. I want to love
Mm-hmm.
my son. I want to show him affection, but I don't know how. I
Mm-hmm.
What comes up is what's been conditioned. And
Absolutely.
so if you've been conditioned to not stay at home, you've been conditioned to be out in the street, or to be with your homeboys versus your wife and your kids, then to think that it's gonna magically come together just because you are Mrs. So and so.
Absolutely.
This is the deception that we have bought into, is
Mm-hmm.
that once you get married, or once you get a title, once
Mm-hmm.
you get the prize, husband, some of the husband is going to magically fit into your fairy tale story. It just doesn't happen that way. We have to have these type of it just didn't happen that way. We have to have these type of conversations,
Absolutely.
really, truly, because
Absolutely.
even as like we talked about before, when we have the influence, and because of these positions that we've had to be put in generationally, and even now the statistics tell us that over 80% of the single household families in America are headed by women. So it's still reflective of our families today that the woman is the head of the household.
Mm-hmm.
So, to think that even if you get the man, that somehow you're not gonna know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why even me wanting to expand on malice of matriarchy and how that shows up in your marriage. I
Mm-hmm.
did not know how to treat the husband that I got
Exactly.
because
So
of all that generational stuff, all of the things that I have gone through. I didn't know how to
absolutely.
treat the guys in my home.
So I got a dope question, right? So
Yeah.
watching your mom and watching the women in the family always be the boss, right?
Yeah.
How do you shift power to a man when all you've seen is women be the power, be the
Well,
boss of the family? You know,
is this a rhetorical question or should I respond?
you can respond, but I'm just like, if how can a woman be submissive or bow down to a male counterpart when she's never seen a man in power?
Donnie, I tell you the truth today. The only reason I am learning to do that
Mm-hmm.
is by the power
Mm-hmm.
of God, through relationship with
Mm,
God, because He's the one who brought
mm,
it to my attention. He's the one who brought it to my
mm,
attention. Because if not, then I'm conditioned and cultured for that.
mm. Absolutely.
That's how I'm conditioned and cultured to be the head of my family,
Mm,
whether this man is here or not. Whether he's here or
absolutely.
not, I'm conditioned to take care of these kids and make sure that things are done, whether he's here or not.
Or not.
So,
Absolutely.
or not. And so this is how it will play. If you're married, this is dangerous. It's dangerous altogether.
Absolutely.
But then get and
And,
be married and not understand why, okay, why am I not relinquishing, why am I not submitting to my husband? Why we always seem to have this back and forth? Why we always seem to be at
mhm,
odds with each
mhm. And he may think it's something with him, but it's
other?
not.
Why doesn't he just do what I say?
Exactly. So in turn, he may be like, well, am I not man enough? No, it doesn't even have anything to do with him. It has everything to do with how you've been trained and conditioned as a woman to be. So funny thing. As a woman to be. So funny thing. So we kind of shift into like romantic relationships, right? So
Mhm.
being
How
with
does the malice show up in romantic relationships?
so from 10 to around 17, I got expelled from school around 17. Being with my grandmother, her being so rigid, so strong, so outspoken and brash, like and people in my neighborhood would be like, "Yo, your grandmom's is a G, man." She I tend to be more attracted to women who are rough around the edges like that. So it's
Mhm.
like a woman cursing me out really doesn't hurt my feelings. In a weird way, it turns me on. Like, wow, oh, I like
Mm.
that. You know? So it's again, it just goes into that dynamic of who you spend the most time around is who you're gonna be. Because again, I'm a
Mhm.
strong black man, and this did not come from a man. It came from watching my grandmother and understanding how great she was. Because here it is, she raised her children. Now she's raising her children's children. She graduated from college. She's a church woman. We never needed anything. I never heard her complain about a bill. The refrigerator always full. We ate steak and potatoes. Like I never seen her whimper or be weak. I never seen anything like that before out of her. So it's like when I choose a mate, they have to be that in that in that mold of how she was, just a great individual. And everything that she is, I like my siblings say, "Oh, you're Nanny. You act like Nanny," because I spent that much time with her that I now I appreciate all of that. I wouldn't trade it now as a man, 40 years old. I wouldn't trade those 7, 8 years for nothing because we wouldn't have be having this conversation. I might be
Wow.
dead or in
And
jail.
see, and this is why I think it's been culturally taboo to speak against the family matriarch. Because as
Yep.
we said, she's done so much, despite all of her flaws, despite what was wrong with her. It's all of these things that we remember. It's all of these things that we put at the forefront when
Mm-hmm.
the emotional side is not there. I say you can't give what you don't have because she doesn't have it. She
Yeah.
wasn't cultured to be emotionally sensitive. She doesn't have the time because
Mm-hmm.
she's working. She's taking care of her kids and her kids in this case, whatever the situation, and if you are involved in the community. Women traditionally had that role as a teacher, whether it be in church or whether it be in the community. You got the community kids. I mean, you got so many.
Mm-hmm.
You taking care of everybody.
Absolutely.
But I think
And
that
like
resentment, you're
absolutely.
not
And
taking care of yourself.
in doing so without the man, like you said, there's no man in the house. Like my great grandfather died in 1958 in a car accident, and everybody said it from 1958 to the time she passed away, 2003. There was no other.
Me,
There,
myself, and I.
there, because again, she was just that woman. I'm not okay. I married this man. He's gone. Guess it's just me and the Lord now. But my mom said, "Why do you think she wanted you and your brother with her?"
Thank you for watching this episode of A Store Heart TD.
Life is a journey, and there are many moments. Some moments are smooth. You flow through them effortlessly. There are other moments when life's challenges interrupt your momentum, yet you find the strength to get back on track, to keep moving. So even if you have to crawl to make it there, do it, because victory belongs to you. You are equipped to handle every part of the journey. You were created to overcome this. Don't give up. I love you.